2 p.m. tonight. Tom?
Hi, Ange. Risk of irking you, just to
Was I irked? Was I really irked? I'm just trying to understand. I don't think I'm irked.
I think it's the way you said it was so definitive and sort of like you were making a statement.
So
it wasn't. Let me just.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on.
So it felt. Some people have suggested that
Yeah.
it's sort of heaped unnecessary pressure on you to deliver
By stating a fact.
in the way that you did.
By stating a fact. Like, I'm not sure, what did I do? Did I unfurl banners and get a band out? Like, if somebody, like, am I supposed to say, well, that's not really relevant, or that doesn't really count, or that, you know, that's not really important? Because it is to me, because that's what I've got to rely on, is that in my 26 years of managing, I've had success, and a lot of that, most of that's come in the second year, not all of it. Sometimes happened in the first year, sometimes it's happened in the third year, that I rely on that. That's something I've achieved. And so, you know, if you won at the end of your career a couple of Pulitzers, mate, and somebody asks you, well, you know, when you've written for that thing, you've always won a Pulitzer, what would you say? Well, you know what, it's not really that important. I don't see why that puts extra, it doesn't put extra pressure on me, because I love the fact that I've done that, and that's what I want to do here. So, but, you know, I guess people, I don't know, like I said, I'd like to think that just saying the truth is the way to go forward, but, you know, I think sometimes that's too confronting for people. They'd much rather I didn't, or somebody didn't, I don't know.
And when you say, is it relevant, or what's relevant, is the fact that you've always won in your second season relevant to how you will judge yourself on this second season? Do you judge yourself against that? Because that's a hell of a standard to judge yourself with.
Yeah, it is, but that's all I've got. I don't understand, like, why.
But therefore, in your head, have you somehow failed if you don't win a trophy this season?
Yes, I failed last year in my head, because that's how I'm geared. Okay, I think I've made it pretty clear what my expectations are. Now, but that doesn't mean that I stop. You know, that just fuels the fire of why didn't I do it? You know, why didn't we achieve last year? Why didn't we win something last year? That gets me going for this year, and this year it's about, you know, progress. So I don't, you know, that's been my whole career. So I have that, like, that's my foundation. That's what I keep saying to people. That's why I'm sitting here. Like, there's no other way I could have got here. No chance. In any universe, I could have got here from Australia, be sitting here answering questions from you, one of the, you know, biggest clubs in the world, in the best competition in the world, if I didn't have some sort of self-belief based on something of substance. I wasn't going to get here with my charm and good looks, mate.
But if you're judging yourself against that, is it fair for other people to judge you on that, therefore?
Yeah, I've never sort of tried to steer it. I mean, okay, you guys have had 13, 14 months for me. Have I ever downplayed anything? No. So I'm willing to be measured against that. That means that I'm fair game. And again, I've never said not to. You know, now, how you come to your summary at the end, that's as much on you as it is on me. You can make your assessment on just one thing or many things, or, you know, but I'm happy to be sort of judged against that standard, because that's my standard. That's what I've done in the past, and I don't want to dilute that, because then I miss the opportunity of continuing the road that I've been on. So I have no problems with people sort of using that as a yardstick. I will say, we're 4 games into a season. You know, it's pretty early. So I remember I was up in Scotland. They ruled me out after 2 games. I was gone. You know, it was all over in a year we won the double. So, but I get it. Like I said, I just find that, you know, oh, look, it's just me. I'm going to be me. I'm going to say things the way I've always said them, and I'm not going to change. Yeah.
Is it also, just look, finally from me, is it also...
You jumped in on Tom's time.
Sure. Is it also part of you shifting the culture here slightly? Because I've covered this club for a long time, and I've always felt the T word can be a dirty word around this place.
which
People get
T?
scared by the T word trophies.
Okay, all right, good. I'm glad you clarified.
And they worry where you're going with the T word here sometimes.
Yeah.
When you talk about it. And I wonder whether that's part
Yeah.
of you changing mindsets too.
Well, maybe, yeah, but it's still me. Like I'm not putting it on. That's the thing. I've never tried to sort of just do it as a tactic. It's why I keep saying it's why I came here. I came here to try and win things for the club. I think that should be our measure. And if we fall short of that, then we've fallen short, and we need to be better and improve. And that's up to me under my tenure to try and achieve that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with embracing that. I mean, I'd be surprised if anyone can dig up anything I've said in the last sort of 13, 14 months where I've tried to downplay anything. Even when we started well last year, I was saying, well, mate, if people want to dream about us winning things, let's let them go for it. It's just the way I'm wired. I think it's the way forward, and I think you need to embrace that if you want to become a successful club and not shy away from it. It's easy to look. Not it's easy. I shouldn't say that, but if I came out here and said, "Look, this is going to take 3 or 4 years," it would relieve pressure. But I don't want to wait 3 or 4 years. This year's an opportunity, and then if we do well this year, next year's an opportunity. So that's the way I think about it.
The last 15 years or so of this competition has been won pretty much by United, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, so the richest clubs, and people might look at that and say, well, maybe it's too much for a club with Tottenham's financial resources to do it. It seems too daunting. Do you just stray away from that? Is that why you think it's too dangerous?
Well, I just think there are plenty of reasons why we can't be successful. So there's no point focusing on those. Like there's countless reasons why you could say, this club won't win something. I think I've always tried to focus on, well, the way I see it, there is no impediments for us winning anything we want to, if we're prepared to plan for it and be really bold in our approach in trying to achieve that. I don't think there's anything limiting this club having success. I really don't believe that. That's why I'm here. But that doesn't mean we're ready for it now. Just means that that's what we should be striving for.
Just on being ready for it now, because you said you don't want to wait. You said after the game the other day, the team lack conviction in front of them, which is a recurring theme at times. It's a young squad. That's consistent often happens. But do you feel from what you've seen so far that particularly attacking players have what it takes this year to achieve what you want?
Yeah, look, I don't think we're. Yeah, I mean, when I look at it, like, I think there is so much more upside. We're nowhere near capacity in terms of the players we have there at the moment. I mean, Dom Solanke is an obvious one. Richie hasn't even played yet. I think it's fair to say Sonny's had a sort of stop-start to the season. I think he hasn't hit the consistent levels. So I think the other guys like Brennan and Wilson, and I think there's a lot of growth in them. And Timo hasn't had much of an opportunity. I look at our attacking sort of midfield players again. I think there's massive upside in Kulusevski. I'm just seeing more and more growth in him in that sort of attacking midfield role. So I think, I definitely think there's capacity there for us to improve in that area for sure, 100%. And I think Dom and even Richie just having a focal point up there. That's the reason we signed him. Is going to make a big difference to us in that area. So I think there is. We have at present enough there for us to kind of overcome the deficiencies we have at the moment through, like I said, more of a lack of sort of fluency and cohesion in that front third. We just haven't been able to sort of nail on a sort of a formation there that'll give us some consistency.
Just finally, a specific question about Brennan.
Yeah.
You as a manager will know what it's like to get flack from fans when it's not going well
Yeah.
or whatever. But it looks like he's turned off his Instagram account because of fan abuse. Not quite clear if that is the case, but it probably is the case. I mean, does that just go with the territory of being a high-level player?
Yeah. I hope not. Like, I hate how we've just normalised all that stuff. I mean, look, like you said, I've been around long enough. And even when I was playing, I copped a fair bit, but it was usually over, in the terraces, and then the game was over, and you'd go home, and you after a while, because when people at the game, obviously they get a bit frustrated if you're not playing well, and they give you some fairly direct feedback. I've had all that, but I hate how now young people. Now, you're talking about a young guy who. Yeah, probably lacking a bit of confidence at the moment. Things haven't gone his way, but he comes here every day. He's working his backside off. He's asking for feedback. He's doing everything right. He's trying so hard to become the player he wants to be. It's hurting him a lot. It's not like he's out on the town and he doesn't care and he rolls up late. So what's his crime? His crime is that he isn't performing at the level that people expect of him. And I think as a professional footballer, you've got to expect that, you're going to get criticism about that. And that's part of your growth. And, still a young player, and I think there is so much more in Brennan that we're going to bring out in him. But it's sad for me that we've kind of normalised that stuff, that, that getting abuse, and it is abuse, and a lot of it personal is, well, that's just part of the territory. I don't see that. I mean, I don't cop it anymore. Like, if somebody's abusive to me, they're going to hear it back, because I just don't believe that that's right. I'll take criticism because that's my role, and scrutiny, you have to. I think that's your role, but I've got no time for abuse. And unfortunately, with the young people today, they are on these social platforms. It's easy for me. I can switch off, and my one follower doesn't get upset by it. But, for young guys today, it's part of their world. They seem to get some sort of enjoyment from it. I don't understand it, but they do. And again, the fact that they've got to sort of limit their world, close their world a little bit because of, I mean, what kind of person just writes abusive things to an individual? Like I said, criticism is one thing. Exasperation at a game is, you've got to almost accept that. But to sit down and write something abusive anonymously where, say it in front of me, you'll get a punch on the nose, you won't do it again, mate, but they won't do that. They'll hide behind this. So I hate that it's normalised, but unfortunately that's the world we live in. And like I said, for me, when I look at Brennan, I see a young man he's trying his hardest to be the best he can be. Doesn't always guarantee success, and it's part of his journey is how he deals with all this. But mate, he's a great kid. He's a great footballer, and I've got I'm very optimistic about what he's going to do for us.
Mike.
And just to revisit the T word, if I may, you're not the only big club that has gone a few years without winning a major trophy. Everton have got 29 years. Newcastle is up to 55, I think, so far. 16 years since Tottenham won a trophy. And obviously you're not responsible for that. You've only been there 18 months or less. Is it time that Tottenham Hotspur won another trophy? Is 16 years too long for a club of this size not to exercise the silver polish, as I say?
In isolation, yes, because I think, with the fan base it has, and they've seen other clubs, of similar stature win trophies in that time. I say yes. I think you've always got to put into context the fact that, there's a period in there where they got very close, and we know in football it's fine margins sometimes between success and failure. It's not like it hasn't been, at the doorstep of success during that time. So you've got to say, okay, well, it hasn't been a total waste of 16 years. They built a stadium within that time, which it's not just costs money, it is disruptive. And other clubs that have gone through a similar process, and other clubs who will go through a similar process, will see that, that doesn't really gear you up for success necessarily, makes it a little bit harder. So there's context to those 16 years, but if you're a supporter of this club and you've seen others do that in the last 16 years, then I think they would say, yeah, look, it is time. And that's, like I said, that's kind of my responsibility whilst I'm in this chair to try and change that. And I think to change that, you need to, you need to kind of change, the way you approach things as well, because ultimately, if you just keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same outcome.
One last one. hindsight's a wonderful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
If you could turn the clock back, would you have made 9 changes at Fulham last season, gone out of the first hurdle? Because ultimately Fulham went on to reach the semi-finals.
Yeah, which means they're a pretty good side, and we were playing them at their place, and we lost on penalties. So again, hindsight's a beautiful thing, and rewriting of history is a beautiful thing. But we had we had a very experienced lineup on the night. It was kind of very early in the season where we needed to get some game time into some players. It wasn't like I put kids out there. I put out a very strong lineup, and we lost on penalties. So I didn't dismiss that game. I didn't, underestimate that game. I didn't go in that game thinking that it's okay if we lose. We desperately wanted to win, but we were very early in a season where, with a brand new squad, some brand new players, who just arrived. We still put out a strong lineup, but we lost on penalties against a Premier League side away from home. I don't think that shows that we kind of underestimated the fixture, even in hindsight.